high to the valleys low. Water flowing strong everywhere it goes. Hydration.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have an urgent episode because of what they are talking about at the EPA. Now, just to first off warn you, this is, if you are easily anxious, then this might not be the show for you, but I definitely want you to get the one piece of information from this. You might want to stick around till the end as far as if you ever touch your tap. As far as the drinking water warning that was just issued nationwide, this is a big thing, and we're going to go over some previous stories that have happened to our water supplies. So it is pretty incredible. But the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, just issued an enforcement alert Monday urging water utility systems to take immediate actions to protect the nation's drinking water from cyber attacks. According to the EPA, recent federal inspections revealed that 70% of the U.S. water systems inspected do not fully comply with requirements in the Safe Drinking Water Act. The agency then added that some systems have critical cybersecurity vulnerabilities, such as default passwords that have not been updated and single logins that can easily be compromised. You're talking about, like, this is stupid for pretty much anybody, a regular person, a civilian, but for our critical infrastructure, that is absolutely absurd. This is why, again, we're going to talk about some of the previous things that have just happened. We're going to talk about North Korea and what they just did, and previous events where they actually did hack into our water supplies. How did they do it, and what is happening right now? Before we get to that, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. If you do want to protect yourself from any kind of electromagnetic pulse attack from an adversary or a Carrington level event from the sun, you can actually protect all of your devices, your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, generators, your home against this kind of attack or against this kind of natural event, or even lightning in the case of the home version, at marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is the same company that was mentioned in the DHS EMP resilience report in 2019, I believe actually 2018. It is the same company that's done contracts with agencies like DHS, DOD, and they are now on the Dempsey team helping protect the Texas grid. This device takes 10 minutes to put in your car, and your car will run after multiple EMP strikes or a Carrington level event from the sun. So if you want to get out to bug out or get home to your family, then you definitely want to have one of these on your newer vehicle. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, before we go into some of the past events here, now we're going to talk about Texas. We're going to talk about what has happened, and we've talked about this over years, about our systems getting hacked into in very specific areas, even with solar winds, and all of these things are all connected. And people want to say, oh, it's this country, it's that country. All of the countries that are on our adversary list right now are working together. So it is very important that you understand that these aren't just little tiny events. These are part of something bigger. At least that's what I believe. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine, but this warning is pretty serious, especially about the different types of impacts that they say can happen from this. Not just what the cyber attacks can happen, but the fact that they're talking about, interruption to storage, to damaging pumps, or altering chemical levels in hazardous amounts. That's scary when you think about all of a sudden your tap water could be poisoning you.
Now, I want to go back to a previous story here. This is from Hacker Noon. This was all the way, this actually goes over several things. But one first part that I highlighted was the global cost of cybercrime. This was back a few years ago, was 9 times higher in 2022 than 2018 at $8.44 trillion. So if you care about the financial cost of this, that was back in 22 before we had multiple wars going and adversaries threatening this on a daily basis. But get this, in 2019, and we covered this, I remember this story, and I've talked about this many times, a 22-year-old remotely hacked into the Ellsworth County Rural Water District's network in Kansas. The hacker attempted to tamper with disinformation disinfectant levels in the water treatment facility, but the attack was stopped before causing harm. Now, I've mentioned this many times. Essentially, what they said back then is the guy was literally sitting watching this dial, and he was on his break, and he was watching the dial go up, and he goes, whoa, what the heck is going on here? He physically saw it going up, so he physically turned it back down. The disinfectant levels that are supposed to keep us safe, that same thing turned up to a certain level is lethal. So that's what this person tried to do when they hacked in. Officials later identified and indicted the perpetrator, who was found to be a former employee. So it could be anybody. But as well, this is the crazy part, is what are they doing right now? Now, first of all, in fact, going back to rural Texas towns, cyber attacks that caused one of the water systems to flow. This has really great importance because of how it was done. A hack that caused a small Texas town's water system to overflow in January has been linked to a shadowy Russian hacktivist group. Now, again, people can debate on who actually did this. The main point is how they did it. It says the latest case of the U.S. public utility becoming a target of foreign cyber attacks. The attack was one of the small towns in the rural Texas. Local officials said that the public was not put in any danger, right? It said that there were 37,000 attempts in 4 days to log into our firewall. This is how they do it. They overwhelm it, or they phish the password, or they do whatever, or they hack and get actual credentials. In fact, it said that there were, and it said that which was home to about 2,000 residents, the attempted hack failed as the city, quote, unplugged the system and operated it manually. In fact, it is, let's see here, this one. The U.S. government is warning that state governors that foreign hackers are carrying out disruptive cyber attacks against water and sewage systems throughout the country. In a letter released Tuesday, National Security Advisor, and this is in the past, right? Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan warned that disabling cyber attacks are striking water and wastewater systems throughout the United States. It says these attacks have the potential to disrupt the critical lifeline of clean and safe drinking water, as well as impose significant costs affected communities. In fact, how they are doing it is they are actually hacking in and getting the credentials. Now, going back to the very, very recent news that happened, U.S. citizen accused of conspiring with North Korean IT workers to infiltrate 300 U.S. companies to get remote tech jobs. Now, again, this was in a lot of sectors, including critical infrastructure. You're talking about, since CV, everybody has been working from home. There's a lot of remote jobs to be had. They can be anywhere in the world. They pay a smaller wage, and they get pretty much the same requirement for a worker, right? Well, places like North Korea essentially have people on the inside that are hooking up with these jobs. Now, if you think back to SolarWinds, what actually got hacked during that either Russian, Chinese, or North Korean or whatever country that did that, or CIA or whatever agency, that actually focused on the actual employee and HR departments, as well as pretty much everything else. It affected all 500 or over 500 Fortune companies and 500 Fortune 500 companies. Like literally every corporation was affected in SolarWinds, or most of them. All 5 military branches were affected, and get this, they accessed Black Start, our plan to turn the lights back on after a major grid down. On top of that, they accessed very specific areas of HR. Over that next year, we actually watched that HR departments of different states were being hacked. Now, why would you hack into HR? Well, HR is the one that does your passes, does your key fobs, does your employment information, and all of that. Now, if you have, say, 300 people in North Korea getting tech jobs remotely, and basically these are spies or agents or military, these guys are getting remote tech jobs in the industry inside of the company. And then somebody inside the company is essentially waving them through, going, yeah, don't worry, I cleared you. This is the scariest thing, because they are getting jobs in these kind of areas. Think about it this way. To get into a very secure part of a water supply facility, how would you do it? Oh, we have a key fob. Well, how do you get a key fob? Well, you either steal it or you work there. They're going the easy route, and they're literally getting jobs there, and they're getting this information. They're getting inside the systems, and they're setting up. We already know that China, as far as we know, hacked into our critical infrastructure, and according to our officials, are waiting for the perfect time to strike. Now, whether this is a setup, a big distraction, and all of this is total craziness, as preppers, we prep all the same. Water is one of the most important parts. In fact, as far as like EMP and stuff like that, the reason why they say 90% of us would perish here in the United States is not because we'd be taking each other out. It would be because we would not have access to clean drinking water. Clean drinking water is one of the most important things out there. And when you look at what has been going on, and I said this a few weeks ago when that little island had the barge hit, there was a weird Tetra company that did water monitoring systems that ended up getting affected by that smaller bridge that got hit. And I said, man, this is really weird. And I was talking about drinking water effects. Now, fast forward a couple weeks, we have the EPA warning that there's this national alert and that all of these companies have huge vulnerabilities. So I can't tell you guys what to do, and I literally cannot tell you not to do something or not to drink this or drink that, but I would highly recommend that people really, really think hard about what they consume and what they're putting into their bodies. And of course, most of you are already against from, drinking from certain sources, but again, even more important right now, especially when they're getting into HR and all of these other areas, and they're doing it right now. They keep warning and they keep warning, whether you think it's orchestrated or some big group, some big event could happen that could change everything. In fact, if a big enough event happened, a whole town is affected, whatever else, and they say, oh, this was Russia or this was China, that could start a war. So this is a very big deal. Dex, as far as the water sources and what the everything that's been attacked, it's very specific areas.
Well, certainly it's infrastructure they're going after. I mean, we've seen it in the different countries, whether it be from adversaries like Russia or even Iran, who have both been accused of attacking water infrastructure. But this ability for these remote workers out of North Korea to be under disguise as an official worker from another location. Obviously, nobody's going to hire somebody out of North Korea, but that's what they were doing, and they've been planted them everywhere. This is just one case. I bet that's going on by the thousands throughout all of America, across infrastructure, across any type of role in IT, which is typically can be done remotely. If you never have to see the person in real life, then they'll never know. And if they don't have to, Skype in with them or anything like that, they're not necessarily going to know.
And in 2021, twin cyber attacks hit water sector facilities in San Francisco, California, and Oldsmar, Florida. Both attacks involved the use of a remote access program called TeamViewer. Again, most of you have probably used TeamViewer, but this is exactly why 5 years ago when I said that the HR departments were getting hacked into, that this was exactly what I was talking about, that they could get in, get a pass, basically be an employee, and somebody, again, most of the time that gets caught. But the whole thing about this North Korean part is it shows that there are people on the inside that are obviously helping them. And we don't know how broad this is. This one person got caught. How many others are there? We're talking about our critical our critical infrastructure and our water supplies, one of the most important parts of our entire country. And people really don't even think about it because we have a plethora of everything all around us. Everything is, you can just go buy more. But what if there it comes an event in the very near future where you can't just go to the store and buy more? The first thing on people's mind is water. And any kind of disaster, it's the first thing that's gone. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and this thing, mind you, this has got to be happening in everything else. This has got to be happening in the power industry. It's got to be happening in the telecom industry. It's got to be happening in the aviation industry and elsewhere. They're just telling us about and warning us about water. I don't know if that's to foretell something that's about to happen, but this problem is much larger than just water. It is everywhere.
Yeah, and they keep saying that basically they do this by stealing credentials, that they have done it many, many times, and that's how they are getting in. As far as the different systems that are being affected, it's very, very specific. So you can make up your own mind about this. We have attached everything over on our website at marfooglenews.com. You can go through not only the new warning from the EPA, but all of the previous stories that I mentioned here will also be linked on marfooglenews.com. In fact, when you go there, you will find it is all done by thumbnail. So just go to our website, look for this thumbnail, click on it, and you will get a full bibliography list right there. As far as we are going to have another show here in a few minutes. We're going to go over all of the current events from the last 24 hours. That will actually be at 6:15 Pacific and 9:15 Eastern. So in about 45 minutes, I would love for you to join us on our sister channel. So take a break. You can join a little bit earlier once we set the show. And again, if you are watching this tomorrow or some other day, all you have to do to get there is click right here. Again, you won't be able to click that until after 7 p.m. tonight. All right, thank you guys. And again, if you want to go watch that show, click right here. Have a good night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
The valley's low, water flowing strong everywhere it goes. Hydration for the sun.